Okay. We're going to start with the first one. Let me share screen here. Looks like some good progress. This is Kyle. All right. Okay. I'm not sure what to do with these two contours. Okay. So I think the bigger issue is actually the contours before your buildings. Once we fix those ones, they are your contours on your parking lot will be a lot easier to do. Okay, so that's that. We'll come back to that. Will this contour wrap around the roundabout? Yes, you have many contours on your north side of the parking lot that haven't been connected yet. So yes, they will be going around the roundabout. And the way to do it is actually to try to figure out the curb elevations here, which I will show you, which no, both questions are very good. Well, I need to label spot elevations here, or can I just put the plus signs? Oh, you will have to label them. And the way that you labeled them are correct. And these two, can I raise these corner elevations, or should they still be 6 inches lower than? Once you get to this point, these spots don't really have a direct relationship with your FFE. It's actually determined by the contours on the landscape. Okay. Now I think it makes the most sense actually to look at your contours on the in front of the houses. Okay. I will turn up my speakerphone so that all of you can hear. Okay, better. No. So your contours look good, except for that you're missing one. About I know that's where I mentioned that you don't have to work right now. But it's time to think about that because you can see clearly you have to look connected here because you don't really know what's the elevation of the roundabout. So my eyeballing tells me that I have one more contour. So if I do this, actually I don't need to eyeball exactly. I can move this over here. So yes, I know that you have a contour that needs to be connected somewhere over here, like that. And I can extend it. And that one I can extend. So this is something that to say let's avoid this situation because we're going down, right? If that's the case, if we don't want to do that, I would say given that your contour line slope is 9, it's relatively steep, so let's not do that. Instead, let's use this line as a dividing kind of middle line and split this. So I know this doesn't really help do it. Just draw it in. So these will be your 69 again. Okay, so that will be your 69. So that's the parking lot contour part. We still have to fill that in. Now, these contour in front of the building is creating, is actually creating waterfall like that. And then we're not quite sure the 73 and 70. This is the 72. So this is actually draining water down to at least this part. At least this part is, part of the building is getting some water. And we're not quite sure what these curves, the purpose of So to me, it feels like you're creating a long, no, one swell to the other one that's coming down there. It's one contour swell, and then you're trying to do this. Okay. Drainage problems here and there. And what we can do is actually make it simpler and say, let's connect the 72 with the 72 over here. And the 71 goes exactly something like this. I know it's not exactly like this. It has to hit the side, the walkway and keep going, hit the sidewalk, depending on the sewer situation, and then wrap around and hit the wall, like hit the building like that. And this one will go like this. And the other one would, you can actually do in this area, you can, with your design, you may be able to do the sheet flow option instead of having to create a swell over here. And we are not missing, we're not at a 2% slope over here yet. So what I see, you might need to do another 72 over here, connecting back that like that, and this is going like this, and then coming back down. 70, that's 70. And then your wall needs to be right there so that you don't have any water actually going through your side wall of the building there. Again, these contours needs to start from the middle point of these two contours. Looks like you're doing well in that regard. And they need to, the next, so I am outlining the general directions of the contours, but they eventually, where exactly they connect with your site walkways elevations, you would use those calculated spots to guide where exactly, for instance, this can go like this and then go like that and then go hit your wall. Does that make sense? Okay. So this is the contours in front of your building here. And now we need to deal with this side. We said, yes, there is another 69 over here, and we're going up again. So you would have to calculate the spot at the end of the driveway, and then add up so we're going up again and drawing in cross section. And that's the bottom of the curve. And then you have another curve of 0.5 feet. Then you would have top of the curve elevation. And then you would know what contour number here, right after the curve is, and use that to guide, okay, where I connect to, right? So if 69, I'm going up here, looks like I will be going up more than half feet of the distance, just right around that. Let's suppose we're at about 69.5. Then my top of curve will be 70 point over 70. Then the next contour kind of out of that range would be 70, right? So the 70 is actually what you connect to. And then it doesn't seem like it will be connecting to the 68 that is under the tree. So it needs to be dependent on the elevation that you get from here to see which one you connect to. So if we look at these, that's 71, that's 70, and you will have another 70. It's actually wrapping around, it's an enclosed contour of its own because you went down and then you went up, right? So that's a little bit of a signature. You're going down and you go up. That is a locally high small area, so it's a small enclosed contour. And then your 69 would kind of come around to connect to somewhere here. Your 69 is actually going to be
connecting all the way back to the 69 array. So try that one, and then we can take a look at that again. So those are those two questions. I believe we have answered the one below. Okay. The major question for you is actually these two contours over here. And then adding ramps, you have already got the stairs. Let me just pick one set of your walls and see if the walls are designed correctly. I want to try to. Okay, so let's suppose we use your solution here of BW equals to 64. That's because you have 64 attached to this wall, but actually it can't be because you have 63.97 down here, so your 63 needs to be along this line. So this contour, okay, if you want that 64 to hit the wall, for instance, you have to hit the wall. For the end of the wall, there's only one spot elevation, because around that end of the wall is the same elevation. It cannot have differences between the two sides of that wall. Okay, so if you want 64 to hit that wall, you have to connect up. So then this BW does not conflict with the 63.77 here and the 63 over there. So the BW here, if it's the end of the wall, you would interpolate between the 63 and the 63.77. That is your B wall. So that is how you design that wall. Okay. But of course, you don't need that swell, as we explained before. Okay. So those are the three central questions. I would actually, there's that wall, and then there's this pavement. You do need another one for that pavement and the wall there. Okay. Although they're the same elevation, but they're different materials. It indicates different things. And we are actually missing the wall. We're missing that BWTW, and we're missing that BW there, BW over here, BW over there, and definitely no, we have to put the wall right there. Otherwise, we'll have to design this contour to be like this to make it work. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, and we actually don't need that complexity for that area. So we can put the wall over there. And these would totally fine. These 20% uniform sheet flow in this area totally fine. Okay. Same thing. We're missing just that. Okay, I just want to check one side of the wall so that another major area that needs your attention would be clarified. Okay. Well, why don't we try to go through all the submissions, and if any of you have more questions than what you have annotated on your file, we can come back to those, okay? Let's take a look. The second submission. Clear. So I'll make sure if this is Joe. If Joe is here. Do anybody know if Joe is here? Okay. Okay, cool. So we have the center line now, we have the HP. We have we're trying to design the swell like that. And at this point, I would recommend doing the same as what I just showed for tiles fire. Let's not try to design, two swells like this. Let's try to drain the water to the parking lot. And the question is, why is this PC path vicinity contour? Well, the existing contours don't actually matter that much anymore. Okay, by kind of grading the center line, you already sort of modified the original topography substantially. So you should not be concerned about how your designed elevation for the parking lot would not agree with the original contour. You're actually redesigning the entire area. So that doesn't matter that much anymore. And my whisper made a staircase. So let's try, even if we need a swell, our high point of swell would be just for this portion. Okay. And the same thing with the other side. We would not have a center line going around across the walkway anymore. And I would say it's possible that your HPS will be located in this area. And shall be trimming the curves at the bottom of the stairs and ramps. You will be trimming the curves right here. Yes. If your ADA ramp is right there, then you would be trimming that one. This depends on whether or not you use option 1 or 2 that we just showed you in class for your curve ramp. Okay, if you did not intend to design a connected sidewalk like this to all the units, you can actually have one ramp over here that's the curb ramp, which means that you break exactly this portion of the curb. But you still would need a sidewalk for the other areas. And I would say designing just that one curb ramp for that unit, it's probably not a very cost-effective use of resources because you want others to be able to share that. Okay, but wherever your curb ramp is, there's only one line of the curb. There's no break that one, delete one of them. I can't hear as well. Is it better now, Becca? Hopefully. And I'll try. I'm very close to my computer and I have a speakerphone, so hopefully you can hear better. Okay. So those are a few questions, but I know that Joe, you asked about how to determine the FFP. It was the central topic for Thanksgiving break of how to design for your FFP. Very quickly, we need to, so in case some of you did not see the video recording of the last session, I'm just gonna very quickly draw out the process. Okay, so let's start just from the parking lot center line over here. We are going down for most of your designs. We're going down to the, some of you you change the V shape to a W shape so that the whale is actually in the middle of the parking lot. That's okay too. Okay, but for most solutions, we are going down from the center line to the curb, and then we have a 0.5 feet curve. Right? And then from that curve, you go up to your houses. That's your walkway, and you go up to your house, which is, you actually go up to your first floor, right? So that's the top FFP. And the bottom FFP is here. So if you would like to have a walkout, my peel also slopes away. So that's okay. And this is the elevation relationship from this all the way, or should I say from roughly this location all the way up to your house to your backyard. So that's the concept. And based on that concept, how do I try out a few options for my recipe would be I start with wherever I connect to my work bill here, right? So then, now estimate. Again, estimate the elevation over here, and then estimate the elevation over there, like you already did for the PC and DC there. I measure the length of the walkway, and I can use either a 2% slope to get a sense of if I want to design a gentle one, or I use 5% maximum walkway slope to know how high I can get up to my front over here. This corresponds to the elevation there, which is our top. Then I drop 9 feet to get my bottom elevation and see where the elevation is over here. And I compare that one with my existing contours to know whether or not I can have a walkout basement on the other side. So that is the general process of figuring out the range of keys that could work. And I do recommend that you go do the video recording of the week before Thanksgiving. And I believe, at least in my group, we went through multiple examples of checking whether we killed a tree or how do we keep a record of whether or not we have 2 ADA accessible units and 2 units that are one. So definitely try to go back to those videos as soon as you can. Okay. So that is for all the questions on this section. Okay. Again, let's go through these submissions and we have more time. We definitely have more time. We'll have another chance to talk throughout it. Next one, and let's see if this is, I can't see the name. This is Aaron's. Aaron here? Okay, cool. All right, zoom in. I can see in terms of elevations, we're showing the progress, the key elevations. And we have elevations on the tangents that meet the road. Yes. So what we need to have would be that one. And well, you can actually just start with that one, but you would need, well, you actually don't yet. You don't need that one to calculate these. So we don't count you, well, if you did not have elevation along this curve, that's totally fine. Okay, starting with these two, we'll need you to have every spot elevation at every tangent. Any form of swell, no, you don't need swells on that side because we're going down, you kind of consistently going down in this direction, but consistently up, not that one. We're consistently going down in this direction. So for that one, we're on the north side, you do not need a swell. There any cross slope? Your cross slope is actually created by your V-shaped contour. That's your crown. That's created by your crown. So you don't need to mark the. I think what you meant is whether or not you need to label, right? Label a slope. You can label the slope. You can label this slope, or you can label that slope. So that and that you need one of them. Good. Okay. So that's that one. Keep going. how many spiders should the roundabout? Okay. So again, in one of the videos, we marked out all the parts that you will need, and especially for the roundabout, you need poles. Okay, those you will need 4, and then you would have to check the CAD to see how many engines there are. There are many, I believe, at least for 8. So those are all the spots that you need for the roundabout. Next question, are LPS found all fixing or proposed contours? You will be based on your proposed contour. So based on your parking lot contour, you actually know I have a 70 coming out of here. Okay, and then this is a 71, and that's a 70. Your 70 could go like that. Then you could say, okay, my HP is actually below 70. Okay, so this is this contour that just came off the parking. The last one is the one you kind of above the swell. If you have it, if you have a swell on the side, then the 70 would be the one that is above your HPS. So here, base that off your proposed contour instead of the existing ones. Okay, so that is that. Should our stylations on each side of the ramp or porch be the same? On each side of the ramp or porch. For the ramp, not really. It really depends on if for the porch, yes. For the ramp, no. So for your 72 that's likely coming down up here, well, the 72 might also do the kind of connecting to itself, thing. Come on. And you have a 71 over here, another 72 likely coming up. So that's that. The same thing, like this. So your ramp or walkway elevation will be dependent on the slope that you design for your walkway and the spot elevation you set. Generally, you can see there is a slope in that direction. Okay, so that means each side, if you mean whether or not this one and that one has the same elevation, likely not, because the contours are not parallel to the side of the building. Okay, so if that's what you meant, then those two elevations will very likely be different. Unless what we design and then we turn this contour. Let me show you a design that would not make that not true. If I do the 71 like this, and then if I intentionally make it turn and for the portion of the contour to be parallel to the building, then the spot elevations would be depends on how you design the slope of the sidewalk and the contours. Okay, so that is that one. Sure, can we have slope coming through this part to a uniform slope between the buildings? We talked about that, and again, it's your choice. We have had students do either way. Like you could have a swell in between the buildings, but if you choose not to, it will be the solution that I showed for Kyle's drawing. Okay, do the walls here need spot? Yes, you actually need to delineate where your patio, the back porch is, and as we showed on Kyle's drawing, if you actually extend the patio to your wall, you don't need both spots. you do not need the one that's at the bottom of the wall and the edge or the corner of that patio. You can combine those two together. It depends on how you design the porch. Okay, so that is that one. Any should the line weight spacing be changed on the center line? So right now, the center line that you have here does not reflect the short dashed line yet. I would follow whatever drawing design standards that we gave you for exercise 2 when we trace that construction drawing. But again, we would need to work on the contours before in front of the building before we come to the design of the square. Okay. And likely, I don't know exactly yet. You know, likely you wouldn't need a swale on this side either. But you could definitely still really spot it. That's weird. I don't have any other speakers, so well, I'll try not to turn away from my computer. Okay. Water between sidewalks going onto the parking lot. Yes, please. And I still would recommend that you have a sidewalk that is connected to across the entire or town hall. Having one sidewalk is like a much better design. And yeah, and also stairs in case someone wanted to go this way, go that way, and then go that way and go that way. That area seems to me a little small, especially this one, a little small. It limits the option for people that want to go from the sloped lawn area to your sidewalk and then to your sidewalk. So you may want to change location of the stairs to deliver a little bit more flexibility. Okay. So those are the questions you mark over here. Let's look at for one of your units. And it's probably the same with the first one and last one. And for this one, it might be a little, Do you have a sense of which ones you have walkouts and which ones you don't? Yeah, I do need the table of the. Let's quickly label it. Let's do one track, okay? So this is 5, 4, and 3. And this is 2. So the bottom of the curve here is 17.38. Then I'm going up here to 71.47. And okay, 54, 62. So that means the contour out of the back porch will be 62, meaning that I will need to drag this up here. And then my 1 is here. Okay, so this is probably borderline okay if you want to have a walkout here, and I just need that distance to be below 75 feet. Otherwise, I'll have to move to 1, and that will be still the 3. For that one, 3 is over here. This is 63, so that one should work. So basically means I would have that workout here, no problem. And this one, no steps, no steps. 63 should be fine. I can grab 60 over there. 63 is over here. So my 60 can be here, and my 2 won't be is actually that one. That's your three. Um, my two is over here. No problem. I just is what this is. So you wouldn't be needing to make a two over here. So it looks like you would be able to create at least two walkouts with two ADA with your separate FS. So that's good. That one, no, you wouldn't be able to touch 62, that's not necessary. Okay, so your FFPs, they are working. 71, 70, 75. I think, what happened here is actually we are missing a 0.5 once you are up. So you calculated this based on BC, but you don't have a rank there, so you actually can calculate that based on your BC. Okay, so we can actually use one step, or you can add a 0.5 to all the spot from that point, right? Okay, so I think I have checked your questions in two more areas. But again, let's come back if we have more questions. Moving forward, um, so we have to do this out here too, even though they're no, these two are okay. You can leave them out. Are the spots on each side of the rounded contours the same? So we talked about the spot addition calculation. Would ideally, statistically, would be the last step that you calculate because the contours, it, the spot addition of the parking lot is dependent upon your contour design. In the case that you will need to alter the contours, everything will change. So you would not actually calculate at this point before you have contours. So the spots on each side of the rounded corners. I wouldn't say they are the same because your contours look like this. Suppose this is the contour shape. That one, for instance, is the same as this one along the center line. And this one is the same as this one along the center line. And they are obviously not the same. So there are multiple ways to calculate elevation on the parking lot. But I found this method to be pretty straightforward. It's basically you find the spot along the center line that is at the same elevation of your spot. Basically, you project a line that is parallel to the contour line to the center line and calculate that spot according to your center line slope. I found that to be a pretty straightforward method to calculate. And you can even have a spreadsheet, right? Because your center line slope is relatively stable at 2%. Basically, you just need to measure the distance from your spot to the nearest contour and use that spreadsheet and calculate the formula to systematically. You can keep things in one place in case you need to go back and check once you found it. So I would maybe I would leave the parking lot spot for last. Once you have figured out for a parking lot, and I think the next step for you would be parking lot spot, and then follow the procedure of finding the FFEs and work on the contours around and I see that you wrote a few SFTs over here, and I'm not sure if they are TFF or the bottom of them. They're probably neither, because your probability needs to be high in the range. Not, I wouldn't have an optimal range, but 73 would make it for your bottom end. Okay, so again, come back to watch the video before Thanksgiving break, where we went through the process of figuring out these in quite a lot of detail. Okay, if you have a chance to do that and get a draft of the TFSF, if we have some at the end of this session, we can again. Okay, moving forward. So, this is Brian's. Brian here. Thank you. Yep, we went through those are not necessary. Are we able to change the SC where the silence match SC so there's no and it depends on which one you are talking about. The spawn relations of the sidewalk where porch, it would match the tiny difference would be below 0.1. Okay, so that spawn relation can be equal to your top FF. And yeah, we talked about the drainage pattern. Drain the front of the house to the parking lot, drain the side of the house down the hill. Using either swale or you don't always have to have a swale. Yes, the drains in the parking lot would be at all the deck corners. An example would be here, right? That's the lowest point in that area. If you don't have a drainage inlet, water has nowhere to go. So anywhere in the deck corner, you would need a you would do PI/BC or BC/PI. Annotate that file. Okay. And then we don't have more specific questions that are usually just one set of your FFEs first. So percent, that is the 71 column. It's likely the same thing. We're calculating this based on BC. Okay, and bottom of the 62.60 seems likely it's going to work. That's okay. And then these ones very similar to what we critiqued before, so they would work. Okay, I noticed a very common error here. These installations, they will be determined by the contours once you have a draft of those. You would not be determined by your TFFE. All right, we would have contours. Later on, you would have contours going down like this, and whatever this contour is will be between the two adjacent contours. All right. So it's a little too early to specify these because you don't have your contours. So yeah, for this I have the same comment. It would be start looking at the contours in front of your building. Right? I hope that Kyle's is probably one draft that has the contours in front. Well, if you can make some progress revising them in class today, if we can give another critique, it may help others in an idea of what those contours would look like crossing the sidewalks. I think that may be beneficial, but I definitely don't want to show you. Because without a graph here, it's really hard to specifically criticize if they agree with the spots that you have. And that's the most critical thing for these folks. They have to agree with the slope and the spots that you designed for your walkway. Right? We know the general direction, yes, they should slope to the parking lot, but how exactly, what's the exact shape of that contour? It really, you need a more advanced example. Okay. All right. Moving forward. And this is yeah. Okay. Why does this number disappear? I'm not sure which number you're referring to. Is this one? This number? Yeah. Okay. So that one, that number, you could calculate it from the recent contours. So not necessarily is given to you, but it was given to you in the base map. It's slightly on. Would this be a good way to do the stairs? Is it showing up the stairs? Okay, so this feels like you're designing a pretty wide sidewalk over there. And so it would basically be a set of stairs. It could be right here before you get onto the porch, or you could keep some distance too, right? If you don't want, out of the porch directly to the set of stairs. So there's really no kind of way of drawing them, but you can refer back to your exercise 7 where you have walls, ramps, and stairs, right? The number of lines will be the number of steps plus 2. And if you have 3 steps, you have 5 lines. And you know how to mark the yes, yes, and dimensions of the stairs, right? So use that set of kind of representation guidelines to draw and show the stairs. Basically, what we need to know is that your calculation, the number of steps actually agrees with the adjacent, off the spot arrangement of the stairs. So the side of the crown looks a bit rough. Yeah, I don't think the shape here is correct. They should be your contours would have the center line, so they technically would be able to be mirrored. Um, so, which means your 69 would go like that, and your 70 would be like this, if the other color is correct. Which I don't think it is. Okay, so we kind of explained 2 weeks ago how we would know whether or not you had a 3-inch crown, right? 3-inch crown would mean that if I project that over to the edge of the driving aisle, I would basically be connecting to the 4th point of divide this line by 4, and then if I connect that way, I have my 3-inch crown. The reason being, I'm essentially looking for 69.25 along the center line here to get to where 69 is at the edge of my driving aisle. So that way I can quickly check if your parking lot contour pattern is
if that distance is correct, and that seems like not this distance is less than one contour spaces. Yes, you wouldn't have another 69, but you would start calculating the stuff to be able to know what the contour out of the roundabout would look like. So I agree, you wouldn't have a 69 based on the piece here. So that's the second contour. And moving forward to your next question, I feel as if I did wrong. We can check a set of that to see if they would be able to work. Let us see, they are a little, yeah, they're too low right now. If you have bottom of at e equals to 60.90, if you remember the cross section that we drew, this is the house, and that's the top of the P. This is the bottom of the P. And the ground, if there's a walk out, then the ground also slopes away. And if you have a 60, then the next contour, or if you have a 60 point something, the next contour would need to be 60. Something 60 would be somewhere here. And all your units have 60 as the next contour, meaning that if you have to walk out, you're clearing the ground, right? Because the original ground there is about 63, or here it is a little higher, but there's no original elevation that is around 60. That makes sense? Original contour is about here. You need to clear everything here, kind of back out all those high areas to create a 60 contour. So none of the units here has a walkout yet, meaning that you have to elevate. Let's elevate the middle too, because based on experience, you know these two are easy to create ADA and walkout. Okay, let's take a look at how to do that. I believe some calculations went wrong because the here is pretty high. We probably go that much back. We actually need to go up, right? Yes. If you went down, then everything is going into the houses. If you flip that calculation, then you're likely will be in a much better situation there. Let's see, TC equals to 7.90. If we went down, meaning that we went down for 1.5. So let's go 1.5. Then that's 72.4. If it's 72.4, the bottom would be 63.4, then it works. Okay. So flip calculations, and I believe you would have a set of, at least for these two, you would have them working. And these two, like when you stairs, or you won't have walkouts, either will be fine. That it went down. Okay. So correct those and start working on the front contour. Okay, contours in front. All right. So a retaining wall, it needs to be dependent on your bottom of the feet, like your bottom of the feet, and existing contour. If you, for instance, created a lower area than the area on the other side, and that in that case you would put a wall in, right? So let's work on the bottom of the feet first and put the walls there regardless. If then you find out, okay, this wall can actually go across the wall to connect to the other side, then you can get rid of that wall. You can sort of self critique to see if based on the rules of the wall, is is it necessary to have an elevation size of the wall? If not,
wall goes away. All right. Okay. Your porch, the shape of the porch looks okay. Can I have two ramps and then two different flights of steps? Two different flights of steps. Do you mean for the same house or do you mean for different houses? They can share the walkway and the steps or the ramp can be shared between two units. Consider that one house, okay? Okay, moving forward. Oh, I and this is Charles, right? Yep, Charles. Charles here? Online, I think. Yes, okay. Charles is online. We're reviewing your work now. All right. And I think we need to work on the parking lot contours. It's only trimming the contours. So trimming out the parts that are extended on the curve, the slope between sudden and the backside direction to extend. Is this an issue? No, it's okay because you have a crown. You have a crown, so that crown creates enough cycle for the water to flow away. So it is okay for the center line to drop below. When grading the space around the houses, making a swell with just continue up with consummating and making new contours. You would have no the because of the curve, you would not consider the parking lot contour. No, because the curve actually breaks those contours. Um, the for instance, when we were working on the parking lot appointment, we know if this is 70 forces, then your 70 will come out, no, out of the parking lot. The 70 will be connected in the middle location, right? So that is where you start your contours out of your curve. And where do they, what direction do they go? We talked about you need to direct the water to your parking lot away from your houses. So those are the rough direction of where from 71 or 70 would be in front of the houses. So again, for Charles, you also go back to watch the process of delineating the FFEs of each unit or each house. Check if you have enough walkouts, enough ADA access units, and then you could say my parking lot will work and I need to start working on work in front of the houses. Okay? All right. And next one is from data. And I know that you're online. Can you hear me okay? I would, okay, then I would then assume that you could hear me. All right. So the parking lot contours are completed and we have spotted issues. Right now they're a little hard to see, but let me zoom in. So Dana, you do need to increase the size of your spot when it's at print scale. I can't hear very well. I don't know what the reason is because I'm very close to my computer. And given that you're online, I am going to turn up my speaker. Is it better now? Okay, so the problem is probably my speaker. Okay. Yeah. Let's take a look at the spots. We have 70.31. So I'm not sure. So if this is the 71 contour, you wouldn't have 71.89 on your 71 contour, right? Or is this or if is this marking of it's the label? I think the arrows are pointing. Yes, the arrows are pointing in the wrong direction. That's right. Let me open up my I should be able to hear you if you can directly speak. So I don't know why these are marked as 70.73 instead of 70 contour or 71 contour. And I believe if this is 74, this is probably not 71. So I'm a little confused about the contours here. Yeah, these don't seem, so 68, 68, 69, and then you need a 70 and 71. So these,
two more contour lines there then?
yes, we need a 70 here and 2, 3, 4. That looks okay. But I think the first thing you need to verify would be whether or not these are integer contours, meaning that this is 69 and that is 71, right? Then if that's the case, you would have one in the middle. Not drawing very well here. You would have that as your 70. If that's the case, it does look a little steep to me. So it's still below 5%, but it does look to me steep enough and say, you know, if that exceeds 5%, then that's a problem, meaning that the steepest slope on your parking lot is actually over 5%. So what you could do, if that's the case, you would lower the slope here, meaning that I won't get up to 74 over here. The only thing I know it's we're short on time to make big changes. If you can verify that this slope is below 5%, then we can keep moving. Okay, we can keep moving with this solution. We're not violating any slope parameters, but if this is over 5%, then we will have to make some changes to the slope along the center line to make it, keep it under 5. Okay.
Okay. I lower the 74 then?
Yes, we would
Okay.
then lower the 74. And the other thing is, if we let's assume, if we assume that these spot elevations are correct, if this is 70.31, so far it doesn't have a ramp yet. I would want to verify if this is BC or TC, because we already reviewed a couple of submissions and we know this is a common kind of oversight. No, we calculate our BC and we forgot to add 0.5 to get to the TC to know to know whether or not or to know what slope or what elevation we can get for the FFEs. Does that make sense? And the next thing, you would need to lower that down because you cannot exceed 5% slope for the sidewalk there or the walkway there.
So we'll need to lower that down. And then if we move to the FFE, I think there is some, if we keep going up, this would not be 65 because we're going from 70.31, for instance. So, oh, let me draw that one first. Again, this is in cross section. That's the curb. This is a parking lot, right? And then we're going up to our houses. And that's probably the front porch. And then we have our house. And this is the TFFE. That is my BFFE, and that is my back patio. And there's likely some steps over here. So I'm going up from 70.31. My top FFE would not be 65. Now, would my bottom FFE be likely 65? It could possibly be B. But at the same time, I don't need my bottom FFE to be 65. 65 in our project would be considered a pretty high bottom FFE there. All right. So the 65 here, that needs to be re-examined to see how you got to this. You probably would need a couple of stairs here if you don't want to have the walkout at the back. So the relationship here, always keep that cross section in mind. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a. Okay, so Dana, your next step would be to verify the parking lot contours first, and then double check if you use TC to calculate this, and then you would need to go back to the FFEs using that cross section to guide, for instance, without any steps, how high your TFFE would be. Now, if it's not high enough for TFFE, then add a couple of stairs in front. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I have Haley, I believe. All right, let me clear everything first. Okay. Haley in the room? All right, yeah. Then I'll use this. Currently the speakerphone is causing problems. All right. Okay. Zoom in here. Access mouse is small, but it's not. Well, in fact, it's probably across the board too small. Always check the height. Know at pen scale whether or not I'll be able to read it. So you flip contours, good. Meaning that you can have a higher elevation on the curve. Go back to your comments here. Yes, we are grading up here because we know, again, we would need to attach the contours midway, right? The midway now would be somewhere here. Midway somewhere there, and those are, for instance, for this one, if we're at 69, let's start with a section to the other side of the 69 over here. So you would have 69 somewhere. Oh, I don't know if you have 61. If you go back there. And you possibly won't have a 61 there. The 69 will probably go around about outside to 69 over there. Okay, so yes, we definitely need more contours to finish the side here in the north. Do these contours look correct? They look correct to me if you mirror them over there. If I do a quick check, that looks to me it's fourth, so that seems to be correct. Do you have or APS for just use the handicap? Yeah, you can use the handicap box indicate where you are designing the curb ramp. Okay. So does my high point look like my work and my low point? So your high point is over here. Again, let's move it back to somewhere over. Okay, so let's keep this or even not there, as I can see that this one comes up somewhere over here, or the midway, and then that seems like where my contour will come out. So that one will go something like this. And then if you are going to design a swell, your head point will start below that contour. Alright, and let's check the BFFT industry. So the BFFT before, you would not have a, okay. In that case, we don't have a walkout. If we don't have a walkout, you don't have to move the 63, then you're fine. What's the situation over here? Let me draw again. I'm just going to draw that out. And BFFT there. And here, if you have 64 point something, the ground does not have to be lower than that if you don't have a walkout, right? Your ground can be a lot higher like this. So basically, meaning that you can have 66 attacks, for instance, like this. All right, and nothing here needs to be moved. Then you don't have a problem with that. So that's how you can treat the back. I don't know if you have a basement in your where you live, where I can only have one very little window. So that's sort of the situation where you actually have the soil against the multiple wall in your basement. Okay. All right. So that's for this one. What should we start with this week? So for these spots, those spots will be determined by your porch, right? These two would be the same as your BFFE. And then you design for 2% slope down. So those two, these two will be determined by that to go down 2%. And this spot is actually the same as the BC over here. Again, there's only will be only one BC there. And that one is determined by your calculation of the figure. But the spot over here, on the other side of the wall, you'd have to have your contours first to be able to figure that out. For instance, if you have your contours doing this, and that is 67, and this is 66, that's just for example, okay? If that's the case, if this is 67, and this is 66, the spot here would be 66 point something interpolated between 66 and 67. So that's how you determine these bottom of spots. All right. So it's not time yet to determine those. You have to work on the contours. Are all of these spots directions in front of the building the same? They would not be. They would be determined by, okay, let's just zoom to one step so that I can explain the differences. There are definitely a lot of spots that you need to specify. Some of those spots will be determined by the PU, the porch or TFFE. So, for instance, these, that, you could specify a porch FFE that is the same as your building top FFE. They could be the same, or you could also have a slope away on your porch. Either way, okay, it's smaller enough. You can assume that it's covered and doesn't have a slope. But those four is determined by your FFE. The top of the ramp here would be the same as your TFFE, as your porch FFE, like you have specified there. But these elevations is actually determined by how the landscape slopes. Okay, so if you have your 70 over here, meaning that it's 71 contours is actually going this way, then you would have a 74 somewhere here in order to drain. Oh, this is pretty flat. You may even have 73. Yeah, you do have a 73 over here. So the contours in the middle needs to form sort of this V, again, roughly V shape, creating a flower of some sort in order to, yeah, it needs to be. So then this way you would have that drainage all the way to your parking lot. And based on the calculations of these spots and the slope that you specified for the walk, you'll be able to know, for instance, where 70, this is 70, 71, right? And that would be 72. You will be able to know where 72 should fit, or should intersect with that walkway. Does that make sense? Yeah. But essentially, you would have 72 here, 72 and 73, and the slope, the distance, the overall distance, or the smallest slope between these cannot be smaller than 2%, meaning that I still have to keep 2% or 50 feet away. I cannot be lower than okay. Okay, good. That's a really good question. And based on these contours, now you will be able to know that based on the relative distance from these spots to your nearest contour. Because they're in a long area, you can interpret roughly. You don't have to calculate them because it is more flexible in the landscape area. Okay? All right. But as Stuart has mentioned, when you come across a corner, you will need to turn that contour there. Imagine there is another small point something contour here. The contour also would look like this in this corner, but because it's not a whole number contour, you don't draw it out, right? But the key thing is that those spots, that spot in particular, you would raise that. So that one will be able to turn away out of the corner. Okay? So these spots is actually determined by wherever your contours are and roughly estimate its distance to these spots and interpolate that would be okay. You do not need to calculate. Just need to know the correct drainage direction is designed. Okay. All right. So those are very good questions. Let's take a look. Does this spot area have to be a little higher? Which one do you mean? This one? That one can be the same as your FFE. You can raise it.
because I get what you're trying to say. So generally you want that to slope like that. Oh, okay. You don't have any walkouts here. Okay. If you don't have any walkouts here, these spots often don't have to be to follow your FFP. It can even be 64 if it's easier for it to get back. Is again, you have soil at the back of your building, a basement wall. Okay, so those two, if you don't have a walkout, they can be higher than the BFFE, no problem. If these two, if it's no walkout, it's determined by what, however the contours is actually connecting. If I want to connect like that, for instance, then I would have a 65 point something over here. Okay? All right. So let me zoom out and see if I have addressed all the questions. How do you look at the DIs? For yours, your DI is in fact at the end of, let me that here. Okay, so this is a square line, right? If you designed your parking lot like this, it will be, you would just set a few certain distances away. So along the swell line, okay. Maybe boom. So yeah, I think that is good. One segment, one DI per segment of the drive of the parking lot. So let's see. If I start with the higher, yeah, this is the higher. Let's use 2 along the way. Higher, okay. Roughly in the middle, I would have 1. So 2 along that direction, another 2 along this direction. Would be okay. So let's put this back down. Once you get here, actually you would have something in the middle because you're going down and you're going up. So yeah, in the middle here, you would need 1 more. 1, 2, 1, 2, and out of the page, if you're flipping the contours over here, we're going down and going up, right? So we need to look for the lowest spot is actually along that line, this line. Lowest spot is along this line. And those are the locations where you would put the eye. All right. Okay, so that's that. Anything else that I missed? Okay. So your TFFE, BFFE, roughly they work. Your next step would be working on the front, the contours in the front. Get rid of most of the swells in front of the buildings and start working on the back side. That you would need the front contours to start working on the side contours. And then you work on your back porch elevations. And the last step will be grading in the north. Okay? All right. Yep, you're welcome. So I think I finished the review of this group. If I missed anybody, just speak up and let me know and we can go over those. I am going to go back to my office and drink a little bit of water and I'll come back.